Now part of the Darkcast network. Welcome to Indie Podcasts with a dark side.
At 4:48 p.m. on September 20th, 2024, 32-year-old Tyler Dow Baglini walked into the emergency room at St. Luke's Hospital in New Bedford, Massachusetts, holding a blood-stained kitchen knife with dried blood on his face. He was screaming that his girlfriend, Kerri Fidalgo, had been attacked by a serial killer. He refused medication, caused a disturbance big enough that hospital staff contacted law enforcement, and kept the knife on him while he talked. Hospital workers said Tyler insisted his girlfriend was already dead and, quote, a serial killer wanted to kill me too, and added that he, quote, ran to the hospital after seeing another serial killer. Now, my question is, how do you know just by sight that someone is a serial killer? Was it Michael Myers? Jason? Freddy Krueger? Those are the only serial killers I would know by sight. The entire time he was saying this, he still had his knife on him. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, the true crime podcast where we tell stories of relationships that don't just fall apart. They usually end in violence. I'm your host, Kai, and in today's episode, we're talking about the murder of Kerri Fidalgo, a case that's a story about warning signs that were recognized and pleas for help that were ignored. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on, or you can visit the Patreon and subscribe for free over there, where you do get some extras for being a free sub. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Or by becoming part of the Lamb Fam by choosing one of the paid bonus tiers, you can get case extras and bonus episodes that don't make it to the public feed. For instance, last week's bonus was about a spicy actress who murdered her husband and decapitated him, and, as if that wasn't shocking enough, what police found out when they got to her house will leave your jaw on the ground. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Also, before we move forward, I want to address the noise in the background. This is my personal heater. Usually it's on in the Patreon when I'm doing the laid back bonus episodes. Right now it's on in the public feed because it feels like -10 where I am outside and it's cold inside. If you've been with me for a while, you know the whole story about the cold seeping in under my desk. So it's really cold. Sorry about the noise of my heater. I can't freeze like this though. I will try and take out the noise as much as I can, but please forgive me with whatever low hum you hear from my personal heater. And now, without any more further ado, let's get back to your case of love and murder. Police went to 86 Atlantic Street in New Bedford, the place Tyler identified, and when they arrived, they encountered Kerri's grandparents. But there was a language barrier that slowed everything down. Officers then spoke with Kerri's sister, Kayla Whalen, who initially told them that she didn't know anyone named Tyler and reassured them that everything inside was completely fine. The officer said okay and turned around to leave when they heard screaming from inside. They ran back in and saw that Kayla had gone down to the basement apartment and found Kerri. She was on the floor wearing a gray t-shirt, badly injured and surrounded by blood. Kayla later described Kerri's eyes as still open and her hands raised in a protective stance. Officers performed CPR and paramedics rushed Kerri to St. Luke's Hospital, the same hospital Tyler was already at. But medical staff couldn't save her, and Kerri was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. Investigators would later say that Kerri was stabbed and cut 14 times in her neck, head, and torso. She also had defensive wounds on her hand. Kerri was 31 years old and worked as a probation case specialist at New Bedford District Court. She also spent extra hours working alongside her father as a caretaker for a residential management company. Family said that she would be remembered for her huge heart, her happy-go-lucky personality, and, quote, her smile that could light up any room. They described her as ambitious and loving, and her sisters described her as the person they went to for comfort and advice. Tyler was from Dartmouth. He and Kerri had known each other since high school, but they had lost touch over the years. They reconnected while Tyler was serving time in jail, after a mutual acquaintance reached out to Kerri on his behalf. According to court documents, the two started talking more seriously during that time. Tyler had a violent record, which included past incidents like assaulting homeless men and attempted to push an air conditioning unit onto a partner's head. There were also mental health issues in the picture. Tyler had bipolar disorder, among other conditions, and Kerri had tried to get him help. He was released from jail in June 2024, and after his release, he became involved with Kerri and reportedly stayed at her Atlantic Street apartment for several nights. However, her family didn't know he was staying there. Her parents didn't even know she had a boyfriend, and they had never met Tyler. By late summer 2024, Kerri was telling her sisters that she wasn't happy. They said that she described Tyler as being very clingy and angry. One sister remembered Kerri saying that she, quote, hadn't been happy since Baglini got out of jail, and that he would, quote, get angry and yell when she didn't pay attention to him. Kerri also felt like she was responsible for taking care of him, which this is not something that you should ever feel obligated to do. Unless this is your child, your sibling, your husband or wife, taking care of somebody else is actually not your obligation. Also, just to be clear, this is a huge general statement because your obligation can be broken down even more. So what I'm saying is just a generalized statement, but that's a whole other conversation to break it down even more. And we're not going to delve into that. Suffice it to say that she should not have felt that it was her responsibility to take care of him because where was his family? At 9:57 a.m. on the morning of September 20th, 2024, Kerri sent Tyler a message. Quote, Tyler, we can talk later after you get checked out. You need help. You need to get better. You're having an episode and you're paranoid. Everything will be okay, but you need help. I love you. I care about you. Please. And Tyler responded where he said, quote, goodbye. I really loved you and I forgive you. Time to go to hell. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. Later that day, Tyler called Kerri and told her that he was checking into the hospital for mental health issues. He also called his parents from a public phone at St. Luke's Hospital at 12:39 p.m., claiming that he was checking himself in. Kerri also contacted Tyler's mother to tell her that she was scared and described his behavior. Tyler's mother told her to ignore him because she believed Tyler was already at the hospital getting help. But Tyler had never completed the intake process, which this pisses me off. As someone who deals with someone who has mental health problems, the way the system deals with them is so asinine. If the person is spouting gibberish but tells intake that they don't feel like hurting themselves and they want to leave, they can leave. They don't even have to finish the intake. They could just take off. And if you, their friends or family, stop them because you're sane and you know that at this moment your loved one is not sane, if you stop them for your own safety, for their own safety, as well as society's safety, you can be arrested for, I forgot what they call it, like kidnapping, detaining, something like that. I can't remember the precise term that's used, but you can be arrested for holding them against, quote unquote, against their will, while the mentally unwell person runs out and disappears into the night. True story. This isn't something I just made up off the top of my head. True story. And it's absolute bullshit. Instead of finishing the intake process, investigators found out that Tyler went back to Kerri's apartment building. At 3:40 p.m., Tyler sent Kerri a photo of a large kitchen knife. Sometime after that, Tyler stabbed Kerri the 14 times. Investigators said that the defensive wounds on her hands showed that she tried to protect herself. Then, after the stabbing, that's when Tyler went to St. Luke's Hospital. After Tyler walked into the hospital at 4:48 p.m. with the blood-stained knife and the serial killer story, police didn't have the luxury of sorting through his lies slowly. They had a name, an address, and a woman who might well still be alive, so officers went straight to Kerri's apartment. That's when they spoke to Kayla, who was also feeling sick and getting ready to go to urgent care herself. So the whole wellness check felt like confusing and just out of the blue to her. But then her grandmother started questioning her in a panic, which is why Kayla ran downstairs to Kerri's basement apartment to see what was going on. Kayla later testified that the image that stayed with her was Kerri's eyes still open and her hands raised in that protective stance, like her body was still trying to shield itself even after it was over. Kayla described being frozen, like her brain was racing, but her feet wouldn't move. Then she screamed. She ran upstairs to get the police, and after that, she dropped to her knees in the kitchen and begged God to spare her sister's life while police tried CPR. Kayla later said that she now has panic attacks and has to go through intensive therapy, and that every time she has to go into the basement to do laundry, she feels, quote, panic clawing at my chest and guilt that she wasn't there, quote, just 12 minutes sooner. Investigators also found evidence inside the basement apartment that pointed directly back at Tyler. They found ID and a journal with his name on it. They found Kerri's phone under a sofa, which showed the threatening messages, the knife photo, and the full text trail showing Kerri pleading with Tyler to get help, and Tyler responding with that goodbye message. As those pieces came together, Tyler's serial killer story collapsed, which I could have told you from the beginning. Tyler was held at a hospital overnight for psychiatric evaluation and was described as argumentative and behaving erratically. This is literally the textbook going through a mental episode behavior. He was later arraigned on murder charges and held without bail. A judge later ordered further competency evaluations at Bridgewater State Hospital. He was scheduled to return to court on October 11th. By the time Tyler stood in Fall River Superior Court, the case against him was no longer about a serial killer story or a mental health crisis spiraling out of control. It was about a pattern, a history, and what prosecutors described as a violent domestic abuser who finally crossed a line that couldn't be walked back. Tyler ultimately pleaded guilty to second-degree murder on October 28th, 2025. So I guess being that he pled guilty, they found him competent to proceed, which actually means nothing because I know of an example where the person deep in a mental health crisis was saying that they were their parents' parent and some other stuff, and they were deemed mentally competent. Now, at the time, this person's eyes were dilated. That's how out of it they were. And no, as had to be explained to individuals who thought they knew better, that person wasn't on drugs. All of this, and they were deemed able to make their own decisions. Now, I'm not saying that this diagnosis for Tyler is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I don't know what's going on with Tyler. I don't know what they went through. I don't know if he had to be medicated. I don't know if I don't know. I'm just saying that I've seen this happen and they deemed the person competent. And so with that, whenever something like this happens, most of the time, I'm not going to say all the time, most of the time, I take that with a grain of salt because I have seen it in real time. Tyler's plea came after months of evaluations, court hearings, and delays while the court worked through the questions of competency. During the hearing, Tyler said very little. He answered questions only to confirm that he understood the plea and the consequences. His defense attorney, Michael Hussey, read a statement on his behalf saying Tyler accepted responsibility for what he had done and expressed regret and remorse. Attorney Hussey said he hoped the plea might bring, quote, some consolation to the family and friends of Miss Fidalgo. Now, also, I want to input here. I'm not sitting on my high horse now. I'm really not. If somebody, I don't know, did something to my family and they had mental health issues, I don't know how understanding I would be. Like, to be honest, I don't think I'd be like, well, he had mental health problems. I would really think that I don't want to hear it. Like, so I'm not on my high horse here. I'm just telling you that I've seen what happens on the other side, on the side of the mental health. That's all I'm saying. I just wanted to say that because I don't want people to think I'm on my high horse, or I think I know better or feel superior to anybody. It's just, I'm just explaining that I've had to deal with the mental health side, but that doesn't mean to say that I don't understand where the family's coming from, where they don't care and they just want justice. So you understand? So I just wanted to put that out there. Judge Rafi and Yesayan ordered Tyler to step forward. The judge told Tyler that this case was not being treated as a tragic misunderstanding or a one-time mental health episode. It was based on Tyler's criminal record. Quote, whatever other issues he may have, he is a batterer. He's a domestic abuser. I look at his record, and that's clear. The judge also addressed Tyler's courtroom demeanor. Throughout the proceedings, Tyler had been quiet, subdued, almost withdrawn. Kerri's mother, Melissa Fidalgo, said that it felt performative. Quote, I have watched him sit here in the courtroom, quiet and timid, as if he couldn't have done what he did. But I know the truth. I know how savage, how horrific, and how violent his actions were. Judge Yesayan agreed, quote, that's why I didn't let him hide in the corner. Tyler's attorneys acknowledged that Tyler had a history of substance abuse and mental health issues, but he also admitted those factors were, quote, probably of little concern to anyone in this room and probably of little value to this court, given the nature of the crime. Melissa told the court, quote, I hate that he thought he had the right to take my daughter's life. I hate that he took her from us, from the family that loved her so deeply, from the future she was building, and from the world that was brighter because she was in it. Melissa said she had been proud of the woman Kerri was becoming, and she had been looking forward to her future. Instead, she found herself planning her daughter's funeral. Quote, she was a light in our lives, and he took that light away. Kerri's younger sister, Giselle, spoke next. She described Kerri as a mother, role model, protector, and best friend. She said Kerri was the person she called when she needed advice or comfort, the one who pushed her to chase her dreams and see her own worth. Giselle talked about how traveling, something she and Kerri loved doing together, now felt empty. Quote, even in moments that should bring me joy, there's a shadow. Then Kayla told the court that she was standing there because her sister couldn't. She described finding Kerri's body in the basement apartment, the image that would stay with her forever. She told the judge that the trauma didn't end that night and talked about her current mental state. She ended by saying that, quote, Kerri mattered. Her life mattered. After hearing from the family, Judge Yesayan sentenced Tyler to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. He was given credit for 403 days already served. He was designated to serve his sentence at Sousa Borowski Correctional Center in Lancaster, Massachusetts. The judge made it clear that this sentence was not about sympathy for Tyler's mental health struggles or substance abuse history. It was about accountability. He said Tyler's actions were part of an established pattern of violence, not an isolated incident. Before the sentence was finalized, Tyler was given the opportunity to speak. He offered no extended statement, so the court moved forward. Kerri would be remembered for her huge heart, happy-go-lucky personality, and her smile that could light up any room. And the cruelest part is that Kerri's last messages show her still trying to do what so many battered people end up doing in these situations, trying to talk someone down, trying to get them help, trying to be patient through paranoia, threats, and chaos, right up until the day she was killed. Now, I'm going to give 2 PSAs. If you are experiencing domestic violence, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233. Or go to thehotline.org. All calls are toll-free and confidential. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. And if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or in crisis, confidential and free 24/7, 365 help is available. Call or text 988, or you can chat at 988 lifeline.org, 988-lifeline.org. You could also visit the LAM website for more resources, murderandlove.com. That's love and murder backwards, murderandlove.com. If this case stirred something in you, questions, anger, frustration, or even recognition, then you're not alone. These are the stories that I tell because they matter, because the way systems handle certain situations need to change, and because the people at the center of them should have a voice sharing their story. This can help you. It can even help me. And this is why Love and Murder exists. As always, thank you for being here and for listening with care. If you want to continue supporting the show or hear deeper dives into cases we can't always cover publicly, you can find our Patreon linked in the show notes below, patreon.com/love and murder. Until next time, remember that it's all love and no murder, y'all. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Welcome to the Lamb After Show. Look, I'm telling you, it's not going to be in every episode. It might be in most of them because I do find a lot of cases that I want to talk about. But don't get used to it, because if it's not in one episode, I don't want you to reach out to me and be like, Kai, why isn't the after show here? I'm just doing it sporadically. Call back to Clueless. So, I came across this case and I wanted to share this with you. I titled it, Brother Claims Pregnant Sister No Longer Innocent, Murders and Dismembers Her. So, let's get right into it. Just after 11 p.m. on May 23rd, 2024, a call came into the Lakeville Police Department in Minnesota. The caller was a mother who said she couldn't find her 30-year-old daughter, who was around 18 weeks pregnant. She had gone to her brother's house for dinner earlier that night and never came home. She also wasn't answering her phone. When hours passed with no word from her, their mother drove over to check on them. As she pulled up to the house, she saw her son tear out of the house and run. She went inside and immediately saw a large pool of blood on the kitchen floor. Blood smeared across the cabinets, and quickly called 911. If you want to hear the full after show episode, then join the Lamb Fam over in the Patreon. You get the after show and case extras starting at only $3 a month and above. There will be some after shows that are available for the public, but for the most part, that is in the Lamb Fam. However, if you want that and even more bonus episodes, then join at $5 a month and above, patreon.com/love and murder. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you in the next case.